Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new, older format, I guess I would say, inspired by...
Some would say reborn.
By old times, but now made new again. What we're doing today, we're doing our standard Wednesday live stream. Typically, that involved us coming in with a product or a Warlord last couple of weeks, just playing some games on camera. But we thought it might be more effective use of our time to actually use this space to go over some of the news of the various indie games that we're following and supporting, some of the news about what's kicking around out there, and then maybe a bigger, more podcast level topic about something going on in the industry, assuming such a thing exists. I think at this point there's enough going on that there is probably something that you can dig into a little bit every week, and so we're kind of starting on our journey of that. You may be listening to this right now live on YouTube. If that's the case, we want to be more interactive with the chat. We've said that for about the past 7 years, but we actually want to make that true. So we'd like to know your thoughts on things as they're happening. And then you might also be listening to this later on our podcast feed, because we are planning to put these as audio clips onto the actual feed. Let us know if the audio sounds weird. If it's not, we got the butter mics out today.
We're about to get it.
So we're working on various audio concerns. We like to do that live. We find that's the best way to do it. We do that with the website. We do that with the podcast.
We'll do it live.
Everyone's a beta tester if they're breathing.
Now, I do want to verify we are recording the audio, right?
We're recording the audio. Yes,
that would be a shame. You mentioned the podcast feed.
So I'm an echoey ghost again.
Oh, great.
Oh, we need to get another mic.
In the background. Yeah, you're okay.
We're gonna need to solve that. Yeah,
Moltar back in the boiler
I think it's an important piece of this whole pie. Yeah, it's just black screen. It's not even camera. Yeah, it was just literally black. It was just it's like he's gone.
I'm gonna have my phone out so I can read comments, and then you want to give a quick.
It has nothing to do with Facebook.
You want to give a quick. Yeah, you know me. A quick kind of what are we going to be talking about today in terms of the Mirage of the Kickstarter TCGs? Or,
you did not give me a softball.
I did kind of make up that topic. So maybe,
I want to add at least a little bit onto what you said, what you started by saying. So if you've been with us for a while, it was literally I didn't realize this when I said it, but 6 years ago Monday, this past Monday is when we started streaming 5 days a week. For the pandemic. That was 6 years ago.
Can you believe that?
Before that, we were streaming on Mondays for Marvel Monday for like 6 months. And before that, we weren't streaming at all. And then the stream just like wouldn't leave.
It wouldn't leave because we loved it.
It just attached to us. And anyway, we went through the years. We did 5 days a week. Then we went down to 4 days. And went down to 1 day. And about a year and a half ago, we actually started exploring something very similar to this, which was we'd start with news related to us, the games that we support, and also just the industry in general that we cared about. And then we would go into a topic, which was sort of blending into, we'd also done a podcast since, I think we launched that in 2017, 2018, called the Covenant Cast. But looking back at the past couple of years, just in what we enjoyed and what we thought people also enjoyed, that actually for some reason engaged with any of this stuff, that was really appealing. And we were struggling to like let go of gameplay or not in terms of the streams, because that was the pandemic, was just us playing games 5 days a week.
Terrible.
Yeah, miserable. Stuck in a room with this guy. But anyway, so we're exploring. We don't exactly fully know what this is going to be yet. We know the general idea right now is news related to us and also the games we support in the industry into a topic. And instead of waiting to sort of, and we've done this a lot in the past, where we'll essentially stew on something for a long time. And you're talking about doing it live. Funnily enough, this is actually doing it live for real. But we stew on it long enough, for a long time before ever actually doing anything. And then you get 1-2 weeks into it and you realize things that you've never even thought about in the months of it. So what this will become, not 100% sure yet, or what it'll end up being. But this is step one. We're going to try it out. So if you're watching it either live or back later, or even listening to it on the podcast, hearing from you would be really important in terms of, was it enjoyable? Do you like it? Do you miss the old stuff, etc.? I don't know that it's going to change our course necessarily, but it's helpful just to hone it in terms of what this is going to look like. So today, the topic is the Mirage of the Crowdfunded TCG. Now, we're not going to start with the topic. It's going to be news first.
I'll do a little news first. But yeah, I think the TLDR on this thing is that in the wake of Cyberpunk having a just
What is Cyberpunk? For
massive,
those that don't know.
it's an IP. I'm not the most qualified person to talk about it.
I actually meant the
whatsoever.
campaign.
But the Kickstarter campaign is for a new TCG based in the Cyberpunk kind of IP, Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red is the video game studio that produced that video game, and they have their name on this as well. So it's an official adaptation of this IP into a card game, and it is now the biggest TCG Kickstarter by pretty much a long shot. And it follows in the footsteps of Altered, which was the previously biggest one, and Sorcery, which was the previously biggest one before that. And it's an interesting time because Sorcery, as far as we can tell, and we're very tuned into Sorcery, is continuing to grow, and it seems like it's off the back of that successful funding up front, has established itself as a very successful long-term trading card game. Altered had an even bigger sum of money that it brought in, but it eventually kind of atrophied and has now officially ended production.
Well, and not even eventually, within 2 years, and within the past week.
It's big.
So you have the Cyberpunk campaign setting the new record as the previous record holder is closing up shop.
And so what I really want to talk about, and what I think is interesting in this discussion, is how much can you correlate a giant amount of Kickstarter funding up front to what will be the long-term success of a TCG? And are those things linked at all? Or is like the ability to run a successful Kickstarter completely separate from the ability to run a successful long-term trading card game? So hopefully there'll be some good fruit to pick off of that tree, as it were. But let's start with the news. What do you got? What's first up?
This is in, actually, it's completely random order.
Just like Larry enjoys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers.
And
Cheers
Matt
to
Phillips.
It's consistently random.
It's consistently random.
I wish Larry was consistently random.
Or totally random. Yeah. So we're just going to go through first Covenant news. Obviously, this is happening. We're exploring some new things, including the stream. But as it relates, gameplay is not actually going away. But we're exploring new things in terms of what gameplay looks like, in terms of the time and energy we're spending on content. That's probably the biggest thing that's worth mentioning here. Anything else in the Covenant world that you think is worth mentioning, or you think you can mention?
I mean, we pushed some tech stuff. So we've got modals in now that will help guide people. If you basically the disconnect that was happening, which makes sense, especially longtime subscribers to various game lines of ours, is that whenever it used to be that a subscription was essentially a pre-order, and so you started a subscription, it charged itself. It was a successful subscription order, and then it got fulfilled. We've shifted that now where subscriptions are generating orders in the same way that you would generate an order when you placed it on the front end of our website. So there's the same orders at the back. Like by the time they're placed, they look the same. But a lot of people would cancel their subscription, but it would not cancel orders that had already been created by that subscription. And so we wanted to introduce not only some messaging around that, but some actual tools that you can use when that's happening to make sure that it's clear. So now if, for instance, if your subscription creates an order and then you go in and cancel that subscription, you're going to get a modal that says, hey, we see that you have an order created by the subscription that's not yet shipped. Do you also want to cancel that because you're canceling your subscription? Or you're bumping your subscription from 4 boxes to 8 boxes. Do you also want to bump this order that this subscription has created from 4 boxes to 8 boxes? So basically trying to create that connection where you understand that a subscription and the orders that they create are completely separate entities. But in the instance that you're changing your sub, it's likely you maybe wanted to change that order as well. And so we're making that clear and easy for you to do. So that was pushed up live this week, as well as some other general quality of life improvements. And then we're working on sending charge reminder emails for subscriptions very
for
soon.
Pre-orders.
For all pre-orders. Primarily subscriptions are creating these orders, but a lot of people come through the website front end and just place something, choose pay later. So basically, if you had, for instance, a Warlord pre-order that was on pay later for a long time or reserved over for a long time, you would get a 7 days before, hey, this thing's about to charge. Make sure that you know that. Gives you, again, more time to cancel if you don't want it. Sometimes you forget about stuff, and or ability to move money into a checking account or whatever that handles your gaming
or
expenses.
change your address, or change the quantity, maybe you want more or less, depending on, and Flesh and Blood has this happen a lot, where the not the current set that we'll talk about when we get to Fab, but the one before had all factions, all classes in it, and so everyone wants that. Whereas the new one has 3, and not everyone wants that. So you reminder, hey, you have 4, maybe you have a subscription for 4 Fab boxes. hey, we're going to charge next week. Do you
Yeah.
want this kind of thing?
One day we'll talk about that too.
Well, let's
About
actually. Okay.
just the release model of like releasing in a way that a lot of your products are only interesting to a quarter of your audience.
Yeah, that could be a whole topic.
It will be.
Yeah.
We should go
Jonathan,
there
can you
somewhere.
actually take notes on possible topics for me?
Yeah.
Whoa, doing it live.
I probably need to have my notebook because I've been for the past like 6 months as we're reconsidering what content we're doing. Every time I have a thought of what could be a podcast topic, I just put it in a note.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating when you start looking for it.
The other piece of news I think that is quite relevant is this pushing out of gameplay from live stream to produced. Honestly, one of the big prompts that we had going into this conversation is how do we make it make sense for us to play throwback games? Because we love doing it, and of course it doesn't seem to make any sense, but can we wiggle it in there? And I think we found a way to wiggle it in.
Yeah, it's so funny but true. It's like we all know, I mean, for a year, maybe 2 years. For 2 years, we've been talking about how cool it would be to do, as an example, like a produced high quality gameplay video for Netrunner or Star Wars TCG or Lord of the Rings TCG or Wyvern, however you want to say it. Did we decide which one?
Or Wars. I think it's technically Wyvern.
Wyvern. And then it's, well, how can you get that to line up?
How can you
Anyways.
invest money into that?
Yeah, so gameplay's not going away. We're just changing the way it looks. So on that note, I do think the release model for Fab is interesting to talk about at some point, and like the way the game is designed and the way it relates to being a product past the point of just gameplay. So on that note, let's just go ahead and skip to Fab real quick.
We'll call it like siloed design. Designing in a silo. Put like an Oklahoma silo.
Dude, we should go get a picture of us in a silo.
I got a silo you can use.
Ship
I can
it.
find you a silo. 3
I'll get
o'clock,
you a
buddy.
silo by Tuesday. All right, so let's talk about Flesh and Blood. Things going on. So Omen of the Third Age is the next set that's coming out. Pre-orders are now available on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, talking about those modals, we get the information on this new thing. Product gets added to the website so you can actually see it and pre-order it. And when we do that, if you have a subscription, all subscriptions are now is an on-off switch that says when we create this product for this game, you're automatically going to have a pre-order that's created for this thing. So if you had a subscription,
have to pay for it.
That's right. If you had a subscription, we got this product, boom, you get an email. You have reserved, let's say you had a subscription for 4 boxes of Fab. Now you have Omen of the Third Age, 4 boxes, pre-order. Get a notice. Then at some point in the future, about a week before we charge, you'll get another email.
If this is in
place, that says, hey, reminder, you have this order, we're going to charge for it next week. If you want to change it, cancel it, etc. At that point, there may be way more information about this set. Maybe you decide I actually want more or less. But also, historically, to go more or less, you would have to actually fundamentally change your subscription.
Yeah.
But now maybe you just want to lock in on 4 Fab in general, but now you're going to move up to 8 because you're a Runeblade player, and there's a Runeblade in this set, speaking from experience. It's just kind of disconnected. It also means that people can pre-order that don't have a subscription, which is a huge
big deal.
Change of pace. But anyways, that set got announced is lightning centric. So
what are your
this goes
thoughts?
back
You're
to the
an old Runeblade guy.
An old Runeblade guy. Well, I have a lot of thoughts actually. Weirdly, for being so out of my depth when it comes to Fab.
Those are the best thoughts to share. Really,
yeah,
when you
just
don't
wild
know much.
internet thoughts. Yeah,
It's not stopping anybody else.
What was the thing? What was the thing recently? Someone was, you get on these like YouTube. I don't want to say holes, but you just dive down these YouTube rabbit trails, right? And they were basically talking about how when you first start learning about something, people talk effectively the more experienced or expertise you gain in something, the less confident you get because you start to fundamentally understand how much you don't know. But usually people that know just a little bit are very confident.
Dunning-Kruger, Dunning-Kruger effect,
yeah, exactly. So anyways, I had a long history with Fab. I haven't really been seriously checked into it for a while, but Lightning of the Elements was my second favorite elements of the 3 that were in Tales of Aria, the first being Earth. So if it was Earth Runeblade, I would be more excited.
It's so super. I would strike you for a lightning guy. In the grand scheme, if I were to put it in
I can see that. I can see that.
Force lightning, fire. It's like the epitome of fire.
I feel like oftentimes you have fire as an element. And fire compared to lightning, there's no contest. It's fire. And then if you want something like lightning is just to me like subpar fire.
It's like fast but not as strong.
Yeah, like it's
subpar fire. In Last Airbender, it's the perfection of fire as the bending arts.
Lightning?
Yeah. Lightning bending is like the
you gotta give it to Avatar wins. So okay, you're right. But the point is, like, if in Sorcery as an example, air has all the lightning stuff. Kind of, it's not really lightning as an element, but it's air. But I would choose fire every day.
Yeah.
But when I want to do something that's not fire, earth is the secondary.
Okay.
Whereas I don't know what that means or how that Venn diagram shapes out, but here we are. So all that to say, along with this, something else that happened, and then I'll give you my full thoughts. They announced bans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out of my depth. If you're out there and you're locked into Fab, I'd be curious to hear from you here. But I think Fab is running into a lot of the things that are strengths are starting to really be weights on them and turning into weaknesses.
That's interesting.
So that's very normal. Like whatever your positive, usually attributes are in some situations very positive, in some situations very negative.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, one of the best things in the world about sorcery is one set a year. And for some people, that is the worst thing in the world about sorcery.
It does have its problems. Like it's not a panacea of easy.
So they don't have rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to have the Living Legend list where heroes kind of rotate out, but the cards stay. And now they have this like voting system where heroes are not playable for a season. And then the more times they get voted as one of the 5, so many things that go away, it's like stacks. So like the second time it happens, it's even longer. The third time it happens, it's even longer. They also introduced Silver Age, which is commons and rares only.
Yeah.
As a format, they're really pushing that right now. I think that is very smart to have. If you're going to do that compared to something like Blitz, I like that format way better. And the starters for that look great. And it's like a whole thing. But the commentary I was seeing, I'm not as plugged in. I still follow all the same people in my various circles, right? Whether it's Discord channels or particularly Blue Sky, where there's a lot of Fab activity going on. And like, you can tell that there's an energy to it, you know, where it's like, oh, the set's not even out and you're banned. And like, they banned Reaping Blade, which is like the discount Rosetta Thorn, which they had banned previously. And, you know, it's just like, it just keeps going. But it's like, it's the topic being rotation. Mm-hmm. And they don't have rotation, and there's a weight that comes with that.
So it feels like a constant kind of every new set is a scramble to figure out how to make it not all break. And so it's feeling more like a House of Cards.
Yeah.
In that there's just too many cards interacting in too many ways. And
like it's impossible to test that. Like the upside of no rotation is that when you buy a card, you know you can always use it until it gets banned.
Right.
And the downside is eventually your card pool is massive. So it gets really hard to design cards that aren't exactly the same as the old ones. So you either have to go like weirdly more complex. It also gets hard to balance because you're having to test all these things. So one of the things I heard about this set particularly, and it's based on previews, we don't know the full picture, is that it feels like a lot of times these sets are almost designed in a vacuum and almost intentionally, like these cards only work with each other.
Yeah.
To address that kind of problem, which is, you know, it doesn't really fully work with most of the old Runeblade Lightning cards. But that then takes away from the upside that I felt early on, where it was like, oh, I will collect Runeblade and Guardian, which I still have to this day, and I will just always be able to use these cards.
Yeah.
Like forever, except for the new set comes out and they don't. We saw this with Monarch, even, where like the Viserai early Fab cards didn't really interact with chain cards.
Yeah.
Almost at all.
So we're doing this. This is the Silo podcast conversation next time, because like it is crazy that you have silos on silos on silos on silos when you're talking about card design for Flesh and Blood, and that is unusual. And in many ways, it is, as you said, turning into a weakness, because when we get into a game then like Sorcery and Gothic comes out and all of the water cards can be used with all the other water cards, that's actually like, that's the whole reason we love constructed card games, is because this card pool gets bigger and bigger and you have this massive diverse set of options. If basically these cards only work together, these cards only, then it's kind of like, what is this then exactly? Why go through all the trouble?
Yeah, and I think we felt this when we started drafting Sorcery early on, where suddenly, because we've been most recently really big into Fab, at least I as a player had.
Yeah.
And because of the way the classes work in that game, and they're divided even within a single set, like this new set, all three are lightning, so they can all play lightning cards. They can also all play generic cards, but the Runeblade is the only character that can play the Runeblade cards. And so when you're drafting it, a lot of times at a certain point in the pack, there's no choice happening.
Yeah.
Whereas when you draft Sorcery,
You can always
all the
throw
way
3
deep
land in
yeah,
there
like
and give it a shot.
it's just a different vibe. So, anyways, they have that going on. Fab's side note, I think, doing exceptionally well.
When does Omens release?
The
You have a date on
reaction
that?
to let me pull it up. There is a date. I think it's even on the
May?
website.
It is on the website. Our very own website.
So, I think the
good
reaction to Silver Age has been very positive. Side note, like just across the board, and the starter deck products that are doing that. So, it is estimated release June 5th. And estimated Fab is incredible at communicating, having dates, and hitting those dates, and having release dates and hitting those release dates. So I would be shocked. I'll eat my hat if they aren't releasing on that on June 5th. So, anyways, coming out June 5th, and yeah, I mean, if I was still actively heavily engaged, it's a Runeblade set, so I'd be going big on it.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter. It's like it's my time. This is my set of the year.
Who's next?
Bill Gold.
Run him down. Earthborne, right? You got Shadow of the Storm in front of you.
We will get there. Sorcery. Big thing they did this past week was announce the Gothic store kit.
The store kit, yeah.
Which really is it's so fascinating to watch them do their thing. Because when they first started, the vibe was, we're not doing OP. That's all going to be community driven.
Yeah, and then Jesse got involved.
And then slowly creeped. And last year they announced the SCG Con partnership. So they have events going on at SCG Con. But over the past month, they've essentially started posting updates we've revamped our entire organized play approach. We're going to roll out all this information. And this is kind of the store kit. And it looks good. They have the Flaming Skull alt art going on here. But it's intentionally, let me just pull it down real quick. And again, there's 5 topics that could spin off of this. Talking about organized play and how all that works. But there's alt arts, there's alt art foils, there's play mats. There's the foil swap promo card. Hate that card. No offense. Each kit, a 2-player mat, 2 1-player mats. This is probably like, you got to the finals or something. 8 of the alt art Flaming Skull, 1 of the foil Flaming Skulls, foil swap, a couple draft kits, and then some posters.
And then we're waiting to see how this gets distributed.
Yep.
We're kind of waiting.
But each kit's designed to support basically 8 people, and then it's modular. So if you have 30 people coming to your events, you get more, however many you need to do that. And seemingly it's like these are seasonal, so you get to use them for a while, and then a new kit shows up. And it's just, again, I think it is just trying to give tools to the people who are hosting to host and do the traditional support for it in some kind of way. But it looks good.
Worth noting too, the Fulfilled system is going great. That's something we launched a little while ago.
That would have been in the news.
Yeah, a long time ago, where local stores can sign up, and then basically all that information in your application goes straight to the team at Sorcery, and they approve or deny that application or ask for more information. Once it's approved, you can then buy products from the fulfilled.teamcovenant.com website. Right now, that's a case of Gothic, and also Gothic precons are currently available through that system. Likely more stuff to be added to that soon, but kind of an early run of the system. And basically what we're trying to solve here, and we've worked with indie publishers now for over a decade, and one of the big problems is for massive games, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc., sending a bajillion boxes to distribution that then get distributed in a bajillion different ways to different stores. That system works pretty well for those people. You just need a ton of volume to get out to everybody, and it doesn't really matter who has what. Eventually, it'll all work out. I think for the indies, we've all seen that it's much more sensitive who gets product and how much they get, because you're just dealing in such lower numbers that one bad actor in the system can really tank a lot of things: perception, product value, your brand. Company, etc. We saw this early on in Fab, their first edition, Unlimited and Monarch and all of that was going on. Those who were there will remember.
Rip.
But so it's basically like, hey, can we just put our heads together and make something that will work better for indie publishers more broadly? Did so. And one of the big things is just like there's monthly limits on anyone who can order. So if you apply, you get approved. Maybe Sorcery says, all right, you can buy 2 cases of Gothic every month, and you get your 2 cases of Gothic. That's quite a bit different than distribution gets 1 million boxes, and then their favorite stores get to order 100,000 of those boxes. There's very little control once it goes into the black box that is basically the third-party seller. So it's finding a way around that and actually giving indie publishers the ability to work with the stores that care about their game. That's what we always felt like we were for Fantasy Flight, and we always fought against a distribution system that could not and did not care about who was doing what to support these things. So we built the system, and it's cruising. It's awesome. Warlord's on there, Gudnak's on there, Alpha Clash is on there,
and Sorcery.
Sorcery's on there. Probably more to follow, and continue to improve the system.
You can imagine.
So, cheers.
You can check that out at fulfilled.teamcovenant.com.
Tell your local retailer if they want to get involved.
That's right. Next up, we have Alpha Clash. So they posted a news.
Wait, hold on. Somebody had questions. Did Golden Eagle? Do you have a bunch of questions?
No, Golden Eagle had questions that were then talked about, but there's a delay on the stream.
Okay, cool.
So
I see.
You're in sync with Golden Eagle.
All right, we got them.
We lined up. Next is Alpha Clash. So they posted their recap from their Tampa Clash Ground event that happened recently, which looked fun. They just keep doing their thing. And last week, issue 4 of the comic release, which I actually have here. This is mine. It got delivered while I was gone, and I'm just going to open it on stream. I felt like a live unboxing. Another old format.
It's just fun. It's that we find ourselves shipping comic books is just an interesting turn in this journey that we're on.
Yeah, who would have thought? So this issue 4, I don't have an extensive history myself with comic books, but been thoroughly enjoying this. One of my favorite characters from the game, Death, is one of the main characters in the story. So that checks out. For those who've been ordering it, this is issue 4. Each issue comes with a playset of promo cards, which is cool.
Yes,
to bring it in.
Something happened to me at an early age.
At an early age. The Death thing, I don't know, man.
I love Death.
Yeah,
I love fire. I like
destruction. Yeah.
Darth Vader, great, like morally
I
ambiguous.
don't know. I like interesting characters, They're interesting to me. Are they not interesting to you?
It can be. I don't know. Sometimes the gray morality character is about the most boring thing on earth because I've seen it 20,000 times. But
yeah,
anyway.
but
It used to be cool.
Yeah, but no, it's like, dude, just somebody
overplayed.
who's just like good or bad is like, whoa, how refreshing.
Who's your favorite Avatar character?
It had to be Katara, right? I love the waterbending.
That makes sense.
But like, then you also had like Jet was one of my favorites because like it's like like an off-brand, like not really the main character but cool. It's like Krillin or somebody like. Well, Krillin was a little more main than Jet, but
I love that Krillin in your mind is a main character.
No, it wasn't Bender at all. But actually, that's cool. Like that, you can just be so good at a sword that you could tango with Benders. Has always been an appealing thing. Also, like all the White Lotus Society.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What was it?
They have the
Iroh
makeup on.
No, it was Iroh and the gang,
It's like all the old cool dudes.
They were like kind of the circles of power outside of the political structure. The White Society, there's something.
Like that,
You realize like at kind of towards the end of the show how connected they are and how there's like a respect and like they're doing the tea.
They're playing like a different
Iroh kind of thing.
Different. Uncle Iroh is good, dude.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I would like to watch it again.
We were talking about rewatching it.
And there's a live action thing coming soon. But like actually, no, not live action. A new movie.
Yeah.
From the same people.
That did the
animated.
stuff. Yeah.
Actually.
I was hearing about that recently, so I hope it's good.
Yeah, I heard it too.
But anyways, if you haven't been tuned into Alpha Clash for a minute, they've made a pivot completely into being the indie comic book TCG, which is all the art comes from the comics. So everything you see on the cards is somewhere in a comic.
Yeah.
Super rad. And they're continuing to do their thing. I'm expecting some more news to come from them in the near future, so we'll move along and try not to say things I'm not supposed
Dude,
to
look
say.
at this comment, Nerd and Proud of It. Can't you open an EU office with that mindset of trying to help indie publishers?
Oops, my mic. You know what? It's funny about that. These mic stands cannot possibly be where Jonathan wanted them.
No, yeah, you completely.
No.
I did?
That's all right, but we're different
I
size
think mine's
people.
right where it needed to be.
We're different size people.
No, see how your stand is like off center? It's not like
That's all right. We can fix it.
lined up with the
we don't
the
need
window back here.
but don't change where my mic
I'm
is.
not gonna change their mic.
I love it where it is, It's my favorite.
He immediately proceeds to do the thing that
This
we
is
agreed not
top-notch
to do.
podcast content right here. Is now you'll listen to the hosts have their mics adjusted.
Well, I'm also picturing if you're actually listening to this on like a podcast feed, just how you can't see anything. It's not as funny.
Yeah,
not that it was particularly funny.
It's
in
a
the first
laugh
place.
riot here live, isn't it? What were you saying about the EU?
I forget what I was saying about the EU. That's a good idea.
Pull that corner towards you. Would you listen to this?
That's a good idea.
More good audio content here.
I think important for this.
It's alive. It's all
I
we're
think
trying things out. We're trying.
I think
things
it
out.
would be very cool if that happened.
We'll kick off the Earthborne section with the following comment from Monty's 8783. Basically, let's do a call-in show. Let's do it. I'm seeing the Earthborne Rangers box. Do you rate the game better or worse than the Arkham Horror card game, which also has its new core set coming out soon? And wait, did we ship that already? We shipped that.
We did, yeah. It's on my list for Arkham.
Okay,
that's
great.
the Arkham news. It's released last week.
Shit.
And if you subscribed, you automatically got it. And if you pre-ordered it, you also got it.
So this is actually a great question, because I think right now there might be people saying, should I get into the second chapter of Arkham with the new core set, or should I go ahead and buy in for the first time to Earthborne Rangers?
Look. Here's the deal. I said right before we started this stream / podcast, what's the even best way to get into this? I'm just gonna be as straight and unfiltered as I can be.
Great, we love it.
Arkham Horror, the card game, is one of the greatest card games of all time. Start there.
That's right. I agree with that.
Not even close. Arkham was so good, it made me realize that the theme of horror was actually something I could like.
Wow.
I thought I was just
That's
like not a horror guy. And then we started playing Arkham. I was like, I actually get it. Like, it's not actually jump scares and just gross monsters, but like the looming threat and the creepiness, like, and especially like the Carcosa campaign, Doubt, Conviction, like just the whole thing, the train scenario, crazy. So Arkham is in my, if I were having to answer the question and being strictly honest about it, a Mount Rushmore of card games, it's at least in contention to be on that list for me. One of the greatest card games of all time. So having said that, Earthborne Rangers is there's a gap between Arkham and Earthborne for me. There's the equivalent of the gap between like Arkham and Monopoly. And this is
probably not that big.
It is big though.
It
like
is big.
So, which is crazy that I'm saying that, because Arkham is on the list, but I think Earthborne is undoubtedly on the Mount Rushmore, and is the reason that Arkham wouldn't be, because I wouldn't put more than one slot probably for a cooperative card game.
Man, yeah, I've had that question myself. Is it a perfection of the genre, or is it an offshoot? Because it's like a new direction with the similar trappings, right? You have a ranger, you have an investigator, you build a deck around them, you go through a scenario, you try to clear challenges. The looks of it, it's like a similar kind of game. So you would think maybe Earthborne is like a refinement of this. But when you play them both, you realize that Earthborne is on a different planet.
Yeah.
As far as how you feel when you play the game and the kind of things you're going through.
In a previous stream, I talked about, to me, Earthborne kind of feels like the iPhone, where we've had phones, but there's just such a massive leap between the Nokia brick phone or the flip phone or the Razr and an iPhone, that's how Earthborne feels, but in a strange sort of way, because cards, cardboard, wooden tokens, art on cards, etc. But Earthborne makes me feel things and think things and get into a brain space similar to Arkham, in terms of I hadn't been in that brain space where I literally feel like we're playing a game and it does feel like I'm jumping from train to train, running from a giant monster eating the rest of the train.
Yes, it does that well.
But even we streamed our most recent, I think it was our most recent stream. We streamed this, which is the Earthborne news, came out this week.
Second Valley expansion.
We streamed playing this, and we were like messing around like normal.
It's just so open, and
well, it's crazy. Like we go to this lodge that is run by a woman and her kid, that she lost her husband when her kid was when she was pregnant, and like the kid is sad about the pressure of the dad not being there, and when his mom passes on, the responsibility that is going to fall to him to maintain this lodge that has been their family forever. And it's like, what is happening?
I was just going to have a fun day.
Where's the monster I can kill? How do I kill it?
Yeah.
So Earthborne is just tapping into, like, and in the least, I don't know how to say it without it sounding weird, but like it's hitting a part of me as a human and tapping into something that I wouldn't have ever thought a game could, and I also would never have wanted it to.
Yeah, didn't ask for it explicitly.
But you're moving along, and all of a sudden, like my group I typically play with, it's like a 30-minute drive after going home. We usually, when we do play, we play late into the night, and then I drive home. And those drives home are like weirdly reflective about life. And I've definitely, you get done with Arkham, like your heart finally settles down, and it does stick with you. Like that train one is specifically sticking out to me. But again, Earthborne from the get-go is just sort of challenging you in a different kind of way.
Definitely. I mean, it's asking a lot of different questions.
Yeah. So,
and it's just the openness of it. You feel like you have infinite agency to discover and explore and go find the things that you want to find. You really can make the game what you want it to be. Because like there's sometimes Jonathan and I will just be like, do you want to just ignore everything and just go explore this part of the map that we've never been to just to see what we can get into? And we just will. And doing that, somehow the game is able to accommodate and create adventure within that framework of you just deciding to do random things. It's basically like when you're playing a role-playing game and you have a really good dungeon master or game master, and when you have a really good game master, you feel the sense of infinite possibility in that you can go do anything you want in this world and they can accommodate you in it. Versus the kind of on rails dungeon master that is like, there's the cave. Yep. And you're like, no, we want to go. And it's like, but you like go in the cave. Like, yeah. I only have that scripted. So like, just do that. You can have a great dungeon master that is pretty on rails and that can run the game really well. And I feel like that's what Arkham feels like at its best. But then when you have a game master that can tell any story that you want to tell, and you can go outside of any given narrative or prompt to generate the characters and the ideas and the feelings that suddenly you're in this new space. That's what Earthborne feels like to me.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's that combination, the openness, literally it's an open world. It's kind of like an open world RPG in card game form, but the open world nature on top of the setting and the story itself that's happening around you, or you can be a part of it or not, is just so like you could do a Cthulhian Arkham themed Earthborne and it would hit different. But you have both the open world and the setting. Again, run into that lodge in this scenario. It's just so...
It hits.
Yeah, and honestly, we only found out the pressure thing with the kid because we chose to interact with them. We could have just moved on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sort of up to you. Like, do you care about this, thing that he's doing and this wood that he's carving or not? And if not, you can just move on.
Yeah.
And the game won't penalize you for that.
Climb the mountain.
But you have a very different kind of experience. So it's really... anyways, I recommend both highly. If I had to choose, I would choose Earthborne. But also, if you're really into like Lovecraft and all that kind of stuff...
it's also, like you said, some people aren't asking for this.
I agree.
And a lot of times that means that you're going to be hit by it and you're going to love it. A lot of times it means that you're like, hey man, like I just wanted like a challenge or a puzzle and I wanted to solve it and then I wanted to go to bed. Like I want to do the crossword and then I want to go to bed. I didn't want to like write my own novel. So I think there's two very different use cases for people and moments that one or the other is going to work. I think in terms of just like something that is remarkable and notable, Earthborne is probably more that to me as an innovative, refreshing, kind of crazy new take on things. It's a more exciting new thing. But you can't forget Arkham is old. And so when it was first happening, I think it felt very similar.
Coming up on 10 years, which for a card game is ancient.
But this is release week for Shadow of the Storm and the Valley expansion. So there's 4 of these that have been announced. And what they do, it is an open world map in Earthborne that you're playing. Various locations on a map, you can move around to each of them, and then you build a deck related to where you are and where you came from, and that all kind of defines what it's like to be in that new space. And the Valley expansions are just basically expanding that map in new ways. The first one zoomed in to a particular location and made it kind of its own mini map so that you could explore it more fully. And this one expands the map to the north, which involves some mountaineering and strange weather and these kinds of things that you're adding to your game. So it's kind of like if you, if you imagine a video game where you have a map and it's set and then you download a new thing and then it opens up a new section of the map. That's basically what we're doing. And now we can go explore that, get rewards from there, meet new people from there that might then affect the main campaign and our ability to maneuver through that. Yeah. So it's very cool. Very cool.
Each of them has basically the campaign guide at the start of it, a way to integrate it either in the middle of a campaign, if that's where you're at right now, or from the very start. You can have all of this ultimately as part of the tapestry. But if you're brand new, just check out the core set.
Yeah, check out the core set for sure. All beautiful. I mean, look at these products. This is beautiful.
Yeah, that
for our podcast listeners, really pay attention to this.
Just look at that.
Looks great. Looks great.
All right, that's Earthborne. The big thing going on there, and we do another thing is it's just in stock right now.
Yeah.
Forever we were on pre-sale / stock, so it's a good time to get in if you're interested in checking the game out. Arkham, I already mentioned the new core set released last week.
Looks pretty cool. Sticking to fundies, improving some cards. And this is kind of the transition where all the cards we're releasing henceforth we're not testing them and balancing them with the previous card pool. So if I was going to get into Arkham and start building my collection, now I would just start Chapter 2 and only do Chapter 2.
Yeah.
And I think you basically have to trust and believe that the designers are going to do a better job. Again, rotation, these are important things like fab, banning, rotation. It becomes a burden to have so many cards in the card pool. You can't do a lot of creative reimaginings without breaking other interactions. So I think it's nice, even if you don't care about it or you want to play Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 or both at the same time. It's a cooperative game. You do what you want. You don't have to go to a tournament and abide by whatever the judge says. But I love the idea of just kind of starting new, even as an Arkham player, fight everything. It's like, I get to feel that sense of discovery again, where it's not just the same old obvious cards every time I go to build a deck.
So I have the majority of the first part of the game prior to this core set, and it's a bit overwhelming at this point. Actually, it's just so much stuff. All right, next up on the list, Warlord. She's back.
Oh, Warlord, it's crushing, man. People are buying this game.
Last week, Set 1, the long-awaited Set 1, has finally released at retail, etc., etc. Kickstarter fulfillment happened in the U.S. at least about a month ago via us. That was news. That would have been in the news if we'd had the news back then.
Yeah, suddenly we're doing Kickstarter fulfillment.
Welcome to the party, guys. Anyways.
Just like how suddenly we're doing this podcast format.
Yeah, things are moving quick. Yeah, why not? Anyways, it's back. One of my favorite things, we had to kind of celebrate concluding our first Kickstarter fulfillment project. The team had an afternoon where we hung out and played Warlord, and so many different people said, I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I would.
Like, it's like, I wish I didn't like this so much because
it's problematic.
I have to buy more.
Yeah. And so anyway, Set 1 came out last week.
That's the point.
If you pre-ordered it, we shipped it. We have it in stock available on our website. Retailers can go to fulfilled.teamcutter.com to apply to sell it if they aren't already buying it. And the game seems to be doing very well. Mm-hmm. If you watch we did a throwback stream. This is a game originally from 2001. And we were probably a year into playing throwbacks. And we're playing all these crazy games. About 5 minutes into that stream, it's like,
whoa,
this one's good.
This is real good.
Good and doesn't feel like it's from 2001 way, except for everything about it feels like it's from 2001 minus the game design.
It doesn't feel like any card game that I play.
Totally unique.
Really unique.
Yeah.
Like Wyvern is pretty unique. Warlord is pretty unique.
Love Wyverns.
And then you have a bunch of like copycats of Magic and Creature Battlers and all of that. And then you kind of have the fighting game, the Dragon Ball Z's and the Fabs and But this is on a whole different level. It's based on D&D. I think it was 3rd edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition rules. Can't remember. I've played them all. Too many D&Ds, Zach.
Me too.
But DCs and feats and all of that and you roll d20s a lot. You try to break your opponent's ranks. You try to kill their warlord. It's a kill the king kind of game. Man, it's a blast. And like you said, a bunch of people in our company are now playing it after work all the time. And it's just kind of like, it's just like, man, this is like awesome. Why is this so awesome? And why do I now have to buy 4 more booster boxes?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I have a problem.
Yeah, sorry,
anyways,
but it is.
It's out. It's shipped. If you haven't tried it, definitely I can't recommend that game enough. Huge
I will
fan.
also say, it does get annoying for all of the advice to be like, hey, if you want a local community, go to your local store and pitch the game to them, and you've got to be a salesman for this thing that you want to buy. We've always thought that was a bit wild. But that is the world that we live in sometimes. And I will say that we have found there's a lot of stores, even at Gamma, there's a lot of store owners that have successful stores now that grew up playing Warlord and love the game. So it's a pretty easy pitch for a lot of people if you go into your store and say, do you know Warlord's releasing? And a lot of people would be like, I loved that game. AEG Classic. I mean, I played that so much. I can't believe it's come back. And so it's easier to get people interested, local store owners interested. And we've got Warlord on Fulfilled. They've got some at Distro as well. And then they're working on Set 2 and Set 3 right now.
Well, and I'm waiting, Josh and Woodrow, for them to stick the landing on this organized play concept, so when they were right before they were crowdfunding, they came out and we did a little mini documentary and talked to them and did podcast episodes and stuff. And it's the whole Overlord system is So tantalizing.
It's beautiful.
If they can do it. So my hope is that in the near future, they will post some news. We will talk about it on the news section, so I won't dive into it now. But I think that alone can be something really crazy in this space. That it's, anyways.
It came out of nowhere, dude. Suddenly,
I'm sure they don't feel really that way. It was like, hey, actually, it was a devastating process. I mean, crowdfunding, and we'll get to that when we get to the crowdfunding.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All
right, closing it out here. We got a couple left. Gudnak, no particular news other than it's in stock, and this is the first. We weren't really doing streams when this happened, so bummer. But I presume future topics. This is a topic. It's on my list already. They're the first game, as far as I know,
that we know of. Yeah, we're at scale.
I've talked to a ton of people who are like, "Let me send you a prototype. Here's my idea," which is, can you have essentially an LCG or a non-collectible expandable card game? You can buy a pack, know what you're going to get, really low entry point to own all the cards, and also somehow introduce collectability. So the way they did this is they have booster boxes. Gudnak means war. That are all, I guess not all. There's like commons in there that I think are not exactly what I'm about to say, but everything else in there is alt art or foil, different treatment, different templating, etc. So that the booster pack is sealed and draftable and collectible, but you can literally buy all the cards in their non-collectible format over here. And the reaction to this, Ian and I went to Gamma a month ago, at the start of this month, and it was really impressive watching them work at their booth, but also the reaction to this exact thing was very positive on retailers, which was, we love non-collectible expandable card games. We have a ton of people that won't touch a TCG, but this is perfect because now we can host events, we can have prize packs, we can do drafts and sealed, but people don't feel like you have to buy booster boxes to play this game. And so they're at PAX East right now, and Tim with Gudnak might be the greatest salesman on earth.
He's got a certain charm to him, doesn't he?
It's an overwhelming charm.
Yeah, that's right.
If you haven't watched my podcast episode with him from last year, do. That was I feel like my brain is very abstract, but it's like holding on to your seat. Yeah. It's just wild. I love Tim, but he's a great. Seeing him in action at Gamma was amazing. I'm sure he's going to be crushing it. Him and his team are going to be crushing it.
You also realize how critical Ian is to that whole thing working when you meet Tim. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I'm trying to gauge what that even means.
Yeah, he won't know either.
Anyways, that's Gudnak. Moving on.
Buy it. It's good.
Ashes. Last game on the list.
Oh, wow. Ashes.
Natural Magic expansion is now available for pre-order, which means if you had a subscription, that subscription generated a pre-order for this. You can pre-order it now without a subscription. New package format, new product format, a little slightly higher price, but there's more cards and there's dice in it.
Yeah.
So you could buy this, own nothing else, and start playing immediately.
They got their new core set, and then they've got the expansions are starting to happen. It looks like it's gonna be one expansion per Magic type, maybe, and it's got the new Dragonborn in it that you can play PvE against as well.
And Ashes last year had their crazy crowdfunding campaign.
It was really good
successful,
for them.
Super successful. Yeah. But there is the new Ashes Ascendancy core set. You can buy it for Black Hat directly. It's also at distribution and in retail, presumably. And so it's a single starter deck that lets you play solo, cooperative, and head-to-head in a single box.
They've also done the thing that is talked about a lot, but seemingly rarely successful.
It is hard to achieve. And when we stream Ashes, I always talk about how much of a miracle it is that this exists. Because they didn't have PvE cooperative at first.
That's right.
And somehow it feels like it's been there the whole time. Like from a design perspective, it doesn't feel added on.
There you go, Nick.
Very good. And lastly, BulkBox. No news, but great boxes. You know what I mean? I got the shirt on. I love these boxes, man. I was opening some Warlord and I'm organizing my stuff, and I love these boxes.
There is bulk news on the horizon. We just don't want to say anything yet.
There is hypothetical future BulkBox news. It's not a news heavy product line.
I'm just saying it is their ideas moving. That might be very exciting when they come to fruition. I will say when, not if.
I agree with that.
Yeah. It's not just boxes the same as always.
Hopefully it's unexpected, but very looked for.
That's right. I mean? Zach loves surprises, really. That's what we're talking about here.
I do love surprises.
He created a company of surprises. And just constant surprises, yeah. Let's get into the topic, shall we?
All right.
All right, so here's my thinking on the Mirage of the Kickstarter TCG. We're in a weird world, you know. I don't know, maybe it's always been weird, but it's particularly weird. Our world, Zach, right now, our country at least, really loves to gamble.
When you said our country, I was like, where are we taking this one?
I can't go anywhere without getting a YouTube video or a podcast title that has something to do with the gambling problem and Kalshi and poly markets and all the sports betting stuff and all of this. So this is why it's important.
Can I just, I have to interject. This is what we get for a live podcast.
Sure.
To be fair, your YouTube is full of these things.
Yeah.
I just want to ask,
I'm on like a weird...
Are you doing okay?
I'm doing fine, yeah. I'm doing fine.
Have you been looking into alternate sources of income?
My only gambling excursion is maybe once every couple of years down to the River Spirit Casino, pull some slots, eat a steak, intend to lose all the money I bring, keep the deed of my house close at hand, and it's
Someone
all
said
very
it's
healthy.
not even gambling.
I don't do it. Like, I think the sports gambling thing is like... I actually think it's just ruining everything. Everything is ruining everything.
I did see a thread the other day that was basically fastest ways to ruin your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was people sharing stories of people's lives they've seen ruined in their life.
Yeah.
And so many of them were literally someone got into sports gambling and watching them slowly, and like they kept betting harder to try to get out of the hole.
Right. That's the...
And then...
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's just, I just think we have an unsolved problem of balancing freedom with addiction. And that's in social media, that's in gambling, and all of the traditional tropes as well. Anyway, all that to say, you know, the question with these Kickstarter big TCGs that you ask up front, and I think I asked this about Sorcery as well up front, is you have Sorcery, you have Altered, you have Cyberpunk. And how much of the money sloshing is a bit of a loaded verb there, kind of gave away the
leading the witness, as it were.
Yeah, definitely leading the witness on that. But how much of this is speculation that this game is going to be important, good, etc., over the long term as an investment strategy, speculation, gambling strategy? And how much of it is genuine organic interest that is going to translate into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of successful experiences, interactions, gatherings, tournaments, etc. And it has always felt like indies in particular are susceptible to the upfront, everybody buys up the super collectible stuff, and this is going to be the collectible TCG, and they're never going to reprint these cards, etc., etc. We saw this all the way down to freaking MetaZoo and all of that. And then it gets out into the wild, and it's like, but nothing's collectible if nobody actually wants to do the thing that is being collected. And so we have this interesting scenario. We have Sorcery, which had a lot of alpha sales up front, immediate releases beta, and had some missteps and had some slow moving and some question marks, and it's going to fail and all of that. Stuck to a certain philosophy, a certain idea about what they wanted to bring out into the world. Eric's very visionary in that way, in my opinion, and have stabilized and are starting to grow pretty massively from what I can tell with the release of Gothic. And it looks like this is going to be a long-term project. Meantime, we had Altered. It never really felt like Altered was trying to do the get all the collectors in up front thing, but it had a massive Kickstarter. It had a massive staff. It had really big names on it. It had the backing of Asmodee. It kind of had the makings of something new, different. It had the digital marketplace. It had all these things. But then within, like you said, a couple of years, it pretty quickly went down the tank. And of course, the QR codes on the cards, I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to talk about. And now you have Cyberpunk. And so I think we need to come into these TCG Kickstarter conversations maybe with two things in mind. One thing is, does the upfront haul of a given game, is it indicative of something that is meaningful for assessing out if this is going to be something I want to actually play over the long haul? Because I think it's easy to say, oh, there's a lot of money going into a project. That means there's a lot of players that want to play the game. That means that it's going to be around, and we're going to have tournaments, and we're going to go enjoy this thing. And I'm just like an old school card game player, which is I want to play the card game. And so a big number means there's more people wanting to play, and so I'll have more people to play with. Versus, is this big number just a bunch of people betting on the fact that I'll buy the product next year because I want to play with it? And how do you know the difference? And how do you, as people who are curating and thinking about this market all of the time, how do you know the difference going into something? If I'm thinking, should I back Cyberpunk or not? Should I back Sorcery or not? Altered or not? The next big TCG or not? Why do they keep getting bigger? What do you think? Is it a mirage? I mean, there's $13 million on Cyberpunk TCG, 17,000 backers. Is that ultimately just an illusory kind of thing that is not indicative of actual interest in playing this TCG? Or is it a sign that they have a great game and they'll have a successful community out of the gate? And I want to hear from you too, everybody out there in the chat. Please let me know.
There's so many layers of things that you just touched on.
That's the important thing, is you ask a giant question and then that is impossible to answer, and then you
watch
go home.
Me flounder around, and then we get out of here.
Do you have a history?
So I think, funnily enough, the way you frame that actually made me look at the scenario differently than even before we came into this room.
Wow.
Which is,
and we talk all the time.
Unexpected, yeah. But effectively, I actually think, zooming in for a second, I think the vast majority of people backing Altered actually did it because they wanted to play Altered.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah.
So that's even more fascinating, because I think they had more players than even Sorcery in terms of actual number of unique people who wanted to play the thing. And we'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
So,
I'll save it.
Whereas Cyberpunk, I do think there's a bit of a mirage going on, where even if we just
massive
look,
IP,
if we look at the pledge levels, it's a big IP.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got probably a massive marketing budget.
But like Final Fantasy is maybe a massive IP, or like Avatar: The Last Airbender,
for sure,
or whatever Magic,
or any Magic set. We both got there. That was nice. Anyways, so Cyberpunk right now at 13 plus million, 70,000 backers. Like, I do think there's a decent number of people in that are probably just players, and they're card game people, or even let's just say collectors versus speculators. So speculators would just be someone buying it now because they think they can sell it for more later.
Which has borne out most of these games. You could sell Alpha Sorcery for way more afterwards.
Yep.
I don't know about Altered.
Versus collectors who genuinely like the theme and just want to collect all the stuff and have all the cards. Like, that's a whole segment of people. And then you have people that just want to play the game.
And do you have a segment that is just literally fans of an IP?
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's an interesting thing to me, where you have to account for that. I just love Cyberpunk. I want the metal posters. I want some of the cards. This is just kind of a lifestyle thing for me. But I have no intention of playing or really collecting. I think in the
same way you have baseball cards, which are playable mostly.
Lorcana.
There's a
Disney
ton of people
fans
that play Pokemon. That buy Pokemon that don't ever play.
Dude, my feed is full of Pokemon TCG content right now. Again, I just move around in the weirdest waters. I haven't seen a single thing about anybody playing this game. It's all people it's all Pokemon footage of people at card shops and trading and trying to pull stuff from packs. And I got the rare hyper hollow.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times it'll be like, my favorite Pokemon is X. I want to get one copy of every version of that Pokemon that has ever existed, or whatever it is. So I think there's a lot of different stuff going on. But interesting, the way you asked the question challenged some of my own thinking, because I actually genuinely think the majority of people backing Altered were people that wanted to play it. And so it is fascinating that it did ultimately fails a word or stop after 2 years.
Stopped production.
And
do you think there was a slice of people buying into Altered because they thought it was like the next big thing, digital marketplace, kind of like, like the next, not that it's a crypto coin, but like, I want to be on the cutting edge of this new technology that's going to revolutionize trading card games.
There's got to be a slice of that.
Yeah.
Some amount of slice of that. But I read, so when you go back to Sorcery, I think one of the most clever things in their campaign that resulted in a ton of success for them was they said, the Kickstarter is going to be the alpha set. We aren't going to sell alpha any other way. If you want alpha, you have to back the Kickstarter. So there's definitely FOMO there, which is like, if this game is great and it's successful, this is the only way to get basically first edition. If Pokemon came out today and they said, hey, first edition, the only way to get first edition is this campaign, and we knew what we knew today about card games in general, that would be a bonanza, like a thing. So Sorcery did it, and Sorcery is an indie unknown game. It is coming from one of the people responsible for Grinding Gear Games that did Path of Exile. So like there's some legitimacy coming into that.
Although they did a great job of not really advertising that.
Yeah,
which
100%.
But they did have all of the traditional artists.
That's the big
They
thing.
did have hand-painted art.
The art is so striking in Sorcery, and it's all the classic legendary artists, and they get all the momentum of that. And so anyone that knows anything about Alpha Magic times and those artists, like when you say Liz Danforth or Jeff Beasley, like they know who that is. I think there's a lot of people that to this day collect Sorcery that are art collectors.
Yeah.
They're getting the Sorcery art, they're getting the cards, they're getting the artist prints, they're getting So that's what I was saying. I actually think there was more people on Altered that are specifically just players of a thing, and not without even going further into that. Just that idea is interesting to me because I would assume that the more people who actually genuinely want to play the thing, the higher the odds are of success. But I think what that tells me is an unfortunate reality I've had to come to grips with as I've aged is as I've gained. I was gonna say gained wisdom, but I don't even think it's that. It's just as I've
not
aged.
necessarily a given, is it?
The most successful anythings that I've engaged with, I would not consider the best.
Okay.
Movies, like the most successful movies of all time, like the Avatar movies, the blue
Avatar
alien movies. In my opinion, they're not the best movies.
Are they the most successful movies?
They're crazy.
Or like some of those Marvel movies is a better example.
I think they're bigger than Marvel.
No.
Can you look up the highest grossing movie of all time?
Like if it's not like Shawshank Redemption, then your thesis is immediately
Shawshank
correct.
Redemption failed at theaters actually.
No, it didn't.
I think it was a cult classic. It was like originally panned by critics actually.
Okay, so yeah, then your theory is 100% correct. I have no more comments.
And zero shade.
As is usually a shade-giving comment that's coming up.
Like I don't think Magic is the best game.
Right. No, everyone would say that. Magic players would say that.
And it's the most successful.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the best game is. I think you have to have a good enough game to be successful. But I think success in the indie card or the card game space in general is there's so many other factors. Even
is IP one of them? It has to be, right?
I definitely think so.
Don't you hate this though? Aren't you sick of a world where you slap some IP on something just to get these? Like an original thought, Zach, is still to me one of the most precious things on this planet. Not just the 50th iteration of some bedraggled IP that we get to put on something. We'll look at Star Wars again and again and again and again, and now we got Disney card game, and now we've got. Like, can't we get the next Star Wars going?
So, I mean, we
speaking of aging,
at Gamma earlier this month, which is like an industry trade show. It's mostly retailers are like the attendees. The booths are all like publishers and services for retailers and distributors. The feeling I had at that event was that the industry is as expected, and we talked about this on the podcast 4 or 5 years ago, after the pandemic, and then particularly after MetaZoo popped,
spreadsheets,
where TCGs went crazy, or MetaZoo went super crazy off the back of like a sticker campaign. It wasn't even the actual campaign for the game. Then the game, I don't know, that's a whole story. But looking at MetaZoo, to me, it was obvious without even playing it that this is not a great game.
Yes, and
millions of dollars in funding. I was like, oh no, here's what's going to happen. And Fab was popping off. Magic and Pokemon had gone crazy in 2020 with the pandemic, and like every influencer in the world was talking about Pokemon. And Jake Paul's wearing chains around his neck with Charizards, or whoever is doing all this stuff. But at the time, it was like, hey, I think the next thing is anyone possibly with an idea to make a TCG is going to try to do a Kickstarter. It's too easy. Like if you can just have a pretty good idea and have 5 pieces of art done and like do a thing and make $2 million, like you'll do it. You may never even make the game, but you do the thing.
There's
right?
A few of those too.
Yeah. And then it'll take more time, but the next phase will be the big companies in the space and the IPs. Spreadsheet says yes. Need to make a collectible game. And that was before Star Wars Unlimited. That was before One Piece. That was before Gundam. That was before Lorcana. That was before Cyberpunk. That was before. And you go, all the IPs coming into Magic, which is a separate thing. The Lord of the Rings, and
that is actually an interesting version of that.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's like we could just slap an IP on a little set, and suddenly we reach billions of dollars.
Yeah, someone
profit.
In the board room at Wizards is like, I have an idea. Put Lord of the Rings in it. I'm done.
Yeah, that was the easiest lift. But then when you get to the weirder outskirts of what is in there.
So then tons of games. But at Gamma, it felt very crowded. Like there's so many games. Even in the indie space. Like you get towards the back of the hall, the indie games, and it's like, this is crazy. And we, on like the bottom half of our homepage is essentially a way for publishers to reach out to us. And the volume of people since 2020 that are reaching out to us to send us a prototype or want us to check out their game or do content or promote it or whatever is crazy. It's gone.
And see, that's why I bring up the gambling thing, because I feel like this is the same mentality and feeling of a crypto coin drop or a new whatever. It's just like, get it on my latest sneaker. There's only 100. It's all the same idea, right? You build not necessarily a great product or thing, but a great idea. And then you throw that idea out into the world and say, if you don't get it now, you're going to miss it, and you're going to miss this opportunity to make a lot of money. Meantime, you have people that I feel like, I think the numbers bear this out, struggling a little bit more financially, maybe a lot more financially. Maybe this is your ticket out. You're smart enough. This is the scam that's been run for millions of years. If only you buy this now, the snake oil now, you can, you'll be a millionaire. And it's just that across everything. And I think TCGs have certainly found themselves now deeply in the pocket of like, when does this become purely speculation versus actual interest in looking at the art and playing the game?
Well,
does it even matter, Zach? Is it really just a speculative instrument at this point? And is that just okay?
Well, I want to introduce a different variable, a non-Kickstarter variable here, which is last Gen Con is when Riftbound dropped.
Yes.
This is the League of Legends card game.
Big IP.
And I was at Gen Con with my friend Matt Coles, and he was, trying to get demos and stuff and playing these like there are these tournaments you could play in and get if you it was brand new, but if you did a certain way, you get a promo and like it's a whole thing. But they've gone on to have, they're having like 3,000 to 5,000 person tournaments, and they do a thing where the top performing player of every character gets this like metal etched version of that character, and it's like hard to get. And those cards, someone I think got like 118th place and got one of these cards, and then sold it for like 25 grand.
Okay.
So the reason I mention that is they simultaneously have insane numbers of people playing this game. Like, a 5,000 person event for a game that's less than a year old in tabletops
that's massive.
Like, I remember the world premiere for Tales of Aria for Fab, which was the first event kind of coming out of the pandemic that I went to. They had 1,000 people at the pre-release, and it was insane. It was like, this is
the biggest game of all time
for
a non-Magic.
Crazy,
et cetera. Yeah.
So Riftbound doing crazy numbers. Not only that, but they have 20, 30 of these metal etched promo cards that are all selling for 5 figures into the 20s, 30s, thousands every time. And so I don't think the people paying 20 grand for that, and mostly it's like, this character's not that good. But it's someone's favorite character in League of Legends.
So it's just a fandom thing.
I think it's just
IP just opens up a fandom.
I want to be the one person that owns this very collectible thing about my favorite character.
I had a King Griffey Jr. poster when I was a kid, right?
And I think that's where you get into, even now, people buying first edition Charizards or Michael Jordan rookie cards or whatever the cards that mean something to them. And so I think there is the Mirage you're speaking to is the speculative betting side. And one question I have for you that's kind of interesting is like, I know there's the whole TCG gambling conversation that's just waiting to be had. But beyond that, as a business, as a retailer, you find yourself essentially speculating and or gambling all the time.
Right.
Depends on where you want to draw the line on what gambling means. But usually, and we lived in this reality for a very long time as a local game store, every purchase decision, and we were just very poor.
Right.
But every purchase decision was a bet. And we lived in a space for a while where every bet had to pay off. And so I'm hesitant to call it even speculation.
That's totally fair, yeah.
Because that is, a retailer basically has to do that. Like, what do you think will actually sell? And that's where I look at like the Cyberpunk campaign, and they're either doing very clever, smart things or very kind of manipulative, degenerative things. But
and it's hard to know what this is. We've talked about marketing, what's manipulation, what isn't. You read Win Friends and Influence People. Are you just learning how to manipulate with language? That's at the heart of all of this, and there's not a clean answer to that. I mean, like, I was certain, yeah, you're trying to convince people to buy the thing you're making.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, that is the goal. And if you're doing it really well, that doesn't mean that you're like scummy necessarily. It means that you're a very effective marketer. And so, like, cheers to them for getting this much money in a Kickstarter. That's amazing. Is it based on the IP? Is it based on how much marketing budget did they have? Is it based on the graphic design of the products look really good? Is it the gameplay? But I think the gameplay is like such a small part.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing maybe that bothers me the most as an old curmudgeon of the game part of the TCG.
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like,
does it matter?
If you're going to make a Cyberpunk card game, if you're into Cyberpunk at all, like as an IP, that game, video game world, etc., in 2026, it's unlikely that that's going to be a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's rare, even with the prototypes, and we get sent some rough prototypes.
Yeah, it's
rare that it's a bad game. Like, we played some bad games on this.
Played some bad games back when they were still making bad games. You know, before they figured it out. You know,
like at the bar, right? Like games that are just okay now would have been like insanely great 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, as when we first started doing this, it would have been like, this is revolutionary. Mm-hmm. But the bars, there's so many games that
they're
come
tapping
out.
The other way.
Yeah. Whoa. They tap it all the way around. Anyways, so I think it's the kind of thing where, like, there's more important things than just, clearly, because Magic's successful, than just the quality of the gameplay itself.
Mm-hmm.
And a huge part of this, actually, and it's a self-reinforcing thing, how many other people are into this thing?
Mm-hmm.
So seeing these numbers and these volumes of people
gets more people.
It's like, oh, there's a bunch of people into this. I'll pick up a couple booster boxes and it'll come in. And like, as a card gamer, like someone on the chat earlier was saying, average pledge right now per person is about $750, which is impressive because some of these pledge levels are like $10,000. One of, you know,
mm-hmm.
there's 50 people can do this, and you
mm-hmm.
get a promo that it's the only way to get it, and they're sold out. And so, like, I'm guessing the average pledge for the non-insane number level pledges, like the $10,000 pledge, $200 or $300. So you're probably getting a booster box or two and a starter set.
Mm-hmm.
For a TCG player, that's like me just going to see a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay, yeah, it looks good enough.
I'll sell it if I don't like it, or I might sell it if it spikes.
Yeah, and that's one of the upsides of a TCG is that you probably can sell it. And right now, given what's going on with this campaign and the success, it is unlikely that you would back this and it not be able to sell it for at least what you paid for it.
Yeah.
In the end. So it's like a no risk, and that just makes it like super easy, and they have the marketing budget and they have the IP. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
But then I do know for a fact, having seen Sorcery, having seen MetaZoo, like if you bought in MetaZoo when it started during the campaign, I did this on accident.
You did. It's so funny.
We were streaming games, and yeah, it's so funny. I bought some starters and a couple booster boxes directly from their website, and I don't know, paid $200, literally. Mm-hmm. And then by the time it showed up to me, that those same items were selling online for like $1,500 to $2,000. I didn't buy it to sell it. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got it, there's no way I can open this.
There's just no way the amount of enjoyment you'd get is worth the amount of money you were losing.
I would never pay $2,000 for that.
Right. Yeah, so you got to sell it.
Yeah. And so if you're looking as a TCG player, it's like, okay, I'll grab it. And with a Kickstarter, you know, you'll be among the first people that have it. And that's always cool. Mm-hmm. And it's just very easy for this thing to, I'm not surprised at all by the Cyberpunk success. But there is a portion of it that is people that know, and they probably did Altered. And they probably did Sorcery, and they probably did MetaZoo, which is, I'm going to spend 10 grand on this high pledge level, get all these boxes at a discount. There's the etch card. That's probably going to sell for 10 grand in the end, if I had to guess.
Unless, yeah, okay.
So these people, right? These people, the problem with these people, but the person, the speculator, before we even get into whether or not it's a problem, looks at it and says, well, for 10 grand, I'm going to get all these boxes plus this thing. I'm betting they will at least make 20 to 30 back.
Super logical bet.
And if this is the thing you're into, and this is the game that you play, and this is what you're doing, and so then the question is, what percentage of the people backing this game and buying it are speculators? And if that is a high percentage, let's say it's 80%, is that actually problematic? And where I think it is problematic is you look at something like Altered, if that were true, which I don't think it was true, which is interesting. But if it were true, if you're structuring a company around the idea, and you're basing future projections and expectations on sales on how well your campaign did and how many people are buying in at this particular moment, regardless of campaign or FOMO or any of that kind of stuff, in my experience, the first year or two of a TCG is always notably more successful than the years that follow. And then games that can take the dip, stabilize, can have a really long successful run.
And grow, yeah.
But it depends on your mentality coming in. Like Sorcery, I think, had the perfect mentality. We're going to make one set a year.
Mm-hmm.
This is our plan. They're literally intentionally designing a company from the start to serve this much demand, this much product, etc.
Yeah.
We're not planning on focusing on organized play at first. Well, now they're like organically more slowly growing into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not surprised at all. But it would be very easy. And you see this. Like I remember looking at Altered at first. And you look at the website. It's like you have 60 people on your team. Like during your Kickstarter.
It's wild.
Like this is
it's wild.
I want to say crazy, but it's unprecedented. I've never seen this.
Yeah.
And you have a deal with Asmodee, and you're doing all this stuff, and you have all that.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to overextend. Even some of the more recent communication they had, their previous campaign was sort of like, if we don't get this much funding, we're going to have to close up shop. And the funding was like crazy amount, like $2 million or something.
It was a weird, and maybe this was a translation problem, but like it was weirdly like this kind of entitlement attitude going throughout the whole thing when you read that. And it was just kind of like, these guys like think we owe them. It was like that kind of vibe. It's like, look at all these incredible people making this game. We could be doing better things with our time, but we're doing this instead. And if you're not willing to shell out the money, we're just going to close up shop. That's a vibe. But what happened? Walk me through. I know you've got notes on Altered. Walk me through. So why do we think, we know that Sorcery, I think at this point is a successful, I would call it a successful TCG. I think the question is Cyberpunk going to come out in the next year and a half, 2 years, and falter like Altered, or is it going to succeed like Sorcery? What might be some clues that you could learn from the history of Altered into deciding this?
So I was just doing some light poking around, and I'm very curious to hear from chat at this point after I get through this, because we're
supposed to engage with chat, Zach. We're just failing. Jonathan's over there typing up a storm. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, we think, or he's just checking Facebook.
Nobody checks Facebook.
I know. I'm joking. That's why it's funny. That's why it's funny.
We don't even have.
I've started a bit.
I've started
a bit.
Off a million years ago.
Sure you don't, Steve. Anyways,
number one is Avatar, by the way, of highest grossing movies. Number 2 is Avengers Endgame. Number 3 is Avatar: The Way of Water. Incredible. I couldn't care. I could not care less.
You see what I mean, though?
I just
2 of the top 3 movies of all time, and yet Blade Runner 2049 is like nowhere. One of the greatest cinematic experiences imaginable.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Absolute stinker. One of the worst movies of all time.
I will add number 9 and number 10 to actually, which is even stranger, is Zootopia 2 and Inside Out 2. Not the originals, but second.
Now that is a fascination.
Especially Inside Out.
So it's not. Okay. It was less good. I watched it on the airplane recently. Inside Out 1 is a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
But here's why. It's the same reason that the first Earthborne Rangers campaign was like $500 or $600 grand, and the second one was $3 million.
It's why you invest in an index fund. It's because you know that the market is already. It's like proven that it's successful. So now you can put your.
Yeah, I mean, game comes out, they prove they can ship and deliver it. People play it, they love it. Word of mouth starts happening. So Inside Out comes out. Am I going to do the energy to take my kid to see this movie? Nah. And then you can watch it at home. You watch it. Your kid watches it 100 times and loves it. It's been 5 years. Your kid that was 7 loved it. And now the main character in Inside Out 2 is a teenager. And your teenager is like, we got to go see Inside Out. And now it's like, and plus little brother gets to come this time. And it's a whole thing.
Man, present to a board already.
I found, you see that all the time with sequels.
Yeah.
Like, anywho. I'm assuming as an example that Empire Strikes Back did better than A New Hope. Even though A New Hope was a whole phenomenon that started in like only 100 theaters and then went crazy. But I'll digress. So I found a thread on Reddit, a trustable, reliable source of information. I was just trying to actually...
Bastion of logic.
More than objective. There's no objective, here's what happened. No, you're never going to get that in this scenario.
Yeah, there's not like investigative reporting going on.
And like even the people at the company are going to have their own take, and the players are going to have their own take, and different retailers are going to have their own take. It's a whole thing. So I was just trying to gauge the temperature of, because recently Altered announced that they were closing shop. What are people saying? And so there's some comments here from that thread that have some different opinions.
This feels like the kind of thing that the kinds of people that want to say something would be saying it loud and everywhere. So like this is also a sample size of the people who are willing to post on the internet about their thoughts, which is a small group already that is likely to have certain proclivities.
Apparently, by the way, Empire Strikes Back did not outperform A New Hope, but also
a better movie.
To my point,
yeah,
there was the critics on Empire Strikes Back were upset. Side note, most of them. Anyways, I will.
It's just hard to be right about everything.
All right.
Isn't it? Why is everyone else getting it wrong?
So via Reddit, from Baron von Bubble, handy trusty sword.
I can't even imagine. I'm tuned in, Jonathan.
Equinox being the publisher. Equinox handled the game extremely poorly after the initial Kickstarter. A lot of people might point to things from the business perspective which may be true, but most of those issues would be solved with a robust and loyal player base. They kind of lost that early due to some extremely poor management. As an example, what was advertised as a game where you could print your own cards didn't have that feature available until it went into beta, which was a year after launch.
Yeah, you really can't do that because that was one of their fundamental market differentiators.
QR code on the front of the card, you scan it, you own the digital rights to the card, and then you can print as many copies of that card as you want. You can also sell the digital rights to someone else. To play in a tournament, you have to have digital rights to all the cards in your deck. But casually kitchen table, you can play with any cards you have access to.
Is it? Do they talk about the adjacency of kind of the NFT stuff that's kicking around about this time? It's kind of the breaking of that bubble at the same time that they're launching what is effectively a blockchain ownership version.
It's like NFT
that
adjacent.
Has all the downsides of non-blockchain private database ownership.
Yeah, I feel like Altered showed up at the tail end of
it was blockchain,
kind of the NFT and the Kickstarter TCG bubbles, because both of those were fading.
Yeah,
it wasn't over yet, but it was right before the big IP TCG showed up, and it was right before Bored Ape Yacht Club disappeared. You know what I mean? Like that, it was still a thing people were spending a lot of money.
Isn't it glad to be right about things that are on their face insane?
It does make you feel less crazy.
I need anything to give me a dose of no, you are the sane one in the conversation.
That's a good comment, Jonathan. I'm coming back to that. Don't let it disappear forever. Okay, another thing. The marketplace for cards was an afterthought, which made it impossible for stores to properly buy and sell singles for the game. Asking store employees to scan each card they're selling, then trade it with another player digitally just to sell it was already a huge hurdle, but the player experience ended up being a lot of work to maintain your inventory of digital ownership that didn't even matter for the first year.
Okay.
So
if it mattered at all.
Yeah, and that was one of the points I made about Altered when we first started talking about it, when it first showed up, was like that exact thing.
Yes.
Which is like, are you solving an actual problem? Because it sounds way more annoying to have to scan a card in, link up on your digital app to sell you the thing, and then physically hand you the card, or you digitally buy it and then it ships to you.
Yeah.
Than just like, here's the card you want.
In retrospect, it does seem like it didn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Can you charge it?
It particularly doesn't matter if you don't ship it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I take your point.
You got one too?
Yeah, I got one.
Wait, I got a phone card. You got the right.
This is the right.
For Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him for Zach. Thank you.
Okay.
So I do want to dive into that a little bit, as like the entire idea of this maybe was failed from the beginning, but let's keep going with the history.
Yeah. So the next one is uniques were another major draw for the game. So kind of like Keyforge, but it's like the uniques can be unique. There's only one
of one.
Yeah, and it would be like, here's the character, slightly different, and you have the only one of that thing. But they ended up being insanely volatile in terms of usefulness. Oftentimes the algorithm making the card worse than its rare counterpart. This meant that the best decks were bottlenecked by an additional level of RNG, random number generation. Not only pulling the card you need, but it also rolling with a better than terrible effect. Having the Kickstarter boxes pour uniques into the game, only for them to become scarce when the game actually launched, was a terrible look. So the Kickstarter boxes had more uniques in them than the full retail release version.
So like if you buy a Kickstarter box and you get like a really awesome unique, and then it's like, if you want to be the best Altered player, you need to have this unique in your deck, let's just assume, then that is kind of not awesome, in that there's one copy of this card and whoever has it might have the advantage in a competitive space. Is that the idea?
And I think, so this next point gives you a little context. It says, along with the above, they also failed to address a huge balancing issue for way longer than necessary. Robin Hood, who's a character, uniques. So there's Robin Hood uniques, and then there would be slight differences in the Robin Hoods. So there's the regular one, and then you might open one that is the regular one, but this stat is changed, or this text is added, or this thing is whatever.
That's inconvenient as a card game player who wants to look at the table and know what is happening.
Robinhood uniques being able to roll 2 instances of your opponent's cards costing 1 or more, or just versions of that card having synergistic effects to keep it on the board, was very unfun to play against. Anecdotally, this is where the game started to take a dive locally for me. People just didn't want to play against Robinhood anymore. And Equinox took way too long to do anything about it. And we've seen this before, where games, Destiny did this. We had a broken meta for 8 months after Set 2 came out.
Yeah.
That they ignored, and it was devastating for the momentum of that game.
Zach, real quick, what was this thread called?
I can send you a link.
Great.
I'm going to chat you a link in our chat.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys sent a Facebook message?
Definitely. Facebook. Anyways, so TLDR here for me is you have one sin, which is imbalanced game you don't fix. You have another, which is you made uniques more common in the Kickstarter version of the product and then harder to get later. And the uniques were like tuned, like over-tuned. But more importantly than anything, the fundamental like hook of what you were doing and the reason you put QR codes on the front of your cards, which to me was as soon as I saw that, I was done. And I've covered that a lot. But the reason you could justify that is digital ownership, digital marketplace, print all the cards you want if you own the digital thing. And a year after your $6 or $7 million campaign that you launched, now a year after you delivered the product from that campaign, so probably 2 years after the campaign, year and a half after the campaign, you finally launched this marketplace. So regardless of whether or not it was ever even a thing the world wanted,
that
seemingly $6-7 million worth of people wanted it. But the point is, regardless of that, if you make a promise as part of what this game is and what makes it what it is and why people might be interested in it, and you do not deliver on that ruthlessly,
that seems crazy.
That to me is how games fail. Number one.
Yeah.
So this is go to like Doomtown. We give this reference a lot. The brand promise of that game is Wild West shootouts, and then the game itself delivered an experience that was deed conflicts. Like, and maybe a shootout.
Yeah,
maybe.
The key thing I think that we all need to keep in mind about Doomtown is you could boot from town to the square, but you couldn't boot from square back to town. But you could boot from main out
to the
and you could also
saloon.
boot from main out back and to the saloon. But it was a lot of boot theory, and it was just like land deed stuff. And then there was one shootout, and then somebody won the game.
Yeah, sometimes there was a shootout.
Yeah.
And only if you're like messing up, it's like, whoops, shootout. That's how it felt. Anyways, I think
was just trying to collect taxes over here, man.
That is where you look at Sorcery.
Yeah.
And the promises they make that were appealing and got people to back the game in the first place, they have absolutely, unquestionably, ruthlessly delivered on.
Mm-hmm.
All hand-painted art. Top-down design. One set a year.
Yeah.
Like kitchen table focus. Like cards are going to be crazy. Etc. And they have continued doing it in spite of relentless numbers of people coming in and being like, this game's perfect, but the only thing you need to do is 2 or 3 more sets a year.
Just break that brand promise you made
just
to
break
everybody.
that brand promise. But they have stuck to their guns on what the brand promise is. I think another place you see games falter and or not succeed is when that promise is not clear. Like, what is this game? And old throwbacks, you see this happen where they get away from themselves.
Yeah.
It's like
Raw Deal.
By the end, it's not even the same game anymore. And that's a problem.
You know what happens is most of the time they become weirdly like analytical and chess-like because you keep tweaking to the designers and the high-end players to give them more and more of a challenge. And so then all of a sudden you're playing Raw Deal and it's like, oh yeah, it's a wrestling game, but like I'm going to come in with 6 different cards that I've meticulously decided are going to alter the ring and the crowd and stuff to give me the right modifiers so that whenever I play this Body Slam card, I can do this and this and discard half of your deck. And it's like, but that's not wrestling. Like it just doesn't feel like wrestling.
It doesn't feel like it anymore.
Whereas you think about Super Show, right? Was that the one where you roll the dice?
Yep.
That feels like wrestling.
It continues
and they just
to
keep
this day
making it feel like wrestling.
And Grandma keeps packing those orders and shipping them. It was crazy. It was such a charming little game. Okay, so real quick, there's some reinforcement of this. There's another issue, and then there's a totally different approach. So overall, I think this is Ender Carniv on Reddit. Overall, I think Equinox severely underestimated the time and cost, the technical elements of their aspirations, what's going to take. This is a print-on-demand marketplace, etc. They're both major marketing items and integral to how the trading card was supposed to, trade. Them saying this. A plethora of smaller issues also plague the game, virtually all survivable individually, but each one just creates another excuse for somebody to walk away at a time when every player matters. Particularly, also, the thing about this comment that's notable, the environment in which this game existed is getting hammered with Magic sets and Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited and One Piece and Riftbound and like Source. I mean, it's like all the game. It's just constant, just noise and reasons for people to do anything else besides your game. Dark Kittens. I think it did not help that the local game store could not really get into the game at set 5. Why would a store invest in a card game if players are able to buy for themselves for the same price or less? Like, does that make a lot of sense? You need LGS for a game like this. That is where we come together, play, trade, etc. So basically, at some point, they pivoted to crowdfunding first.
Yes, and that honestly, watch out, because that's a signal that everybody's picking up on.
Yeah, which basically says
that's like delaying the wedding.
We need to go direct to make more margin because the traditional model is not working. And I'm not a fan of the traditional model. This is where Fulfilled comes in. Like, yeah, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about the traditional distribution to retail pipeline. But when you start going direct, and we saw this, honestly, we experienced it with Keyforge, which is, and I get it, why they're doing it, which is there's not enough people buying this to sustainably go the other route. We have to do this thing. Yeah. And that's okay. But if you're not looking to, and this is where it's different for Equinox, it feels like Keyforge it's published by Ghost Galaxy, which is owned by Christian Peterson, who was the original founder of FFG. He was at FFG when they put out Keyforge, and it's a Richard Garfield game, and I know he very much loves that game. And he got it back and made it because he thinks this should exist and wants to make sure it exists, which is very different than the Equinox feel. Equinox feel was seemingly this is a market opportunity. We're going to make this thing. We have this giant, very talented team. And then when they start going direct, it's not, this is the only way for this game to survive. Genuinely because we want it to, and we're going to like staff and be as, efficient and tidy as we can as a team to make this work. But it was like going direct. I think they thought it was going to be just, okay, we'll be successful enough to do this. And then it wasn't.
It's like we had a big Kickstarter. Let's just do that again.
And then they had the announcement that was like, if it doesn't hit this much, like we'll just go do better things with our time. And that's just not like the way Keyforge handled that pivot made a lot of sense. And they did a lot of things to reinforce the local support as well. Whereas stores that back it get custom decks and get promo cards and stuff you can't get in any other way. And like it's a whole nine there. So, okay, the last one, this is from Cole Rabby. Different approach to this thing. So it's just kind of another thing inject here. He says, a lot of people will say a lot of things, and I'll probably be called a bootlicker or something for this post, but I'll keep it short and sweet from my experience. Number one, Asmodee did not care about the game and did a poor job promoting it and supporting stores looking to hold it. This caused the first wave of issues. Number two, they tried to remedy that by moving to their own distribution, which for a lot of us was promising knowing what we did about how Asmodee handled it.
Wait a minute, can we just pause for a second? This is like incredible. If this is true. Like they are so interconnected with Asmodee. They have the biggest advantage of any game on the market with how much the upper brass of Equinox is familiar with and seemingly works with and hangs out with the leadership of Asmodee. Like these are people this is a French thing, right? This is, do you get that sense?
I don't know the full nature of the relationship, but I do know that when Altered launched, they were very upfront and proud and like marketing the fact that we already have an exclusive deal signed with Asmodee. They'll be our distributor globally, and they're going to be reinforcing and supporting what we're doing. Like they're as excited about this game as we are, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it just feels to me like if any game is going to have the full support of Asmodee and the distribution system and the distribution network and the promotion that it offers, this is the game that would have that. Well, and if they're leaving saying this was not good for us and trying to do it themselves, then what's it like for anyone else?
One thing that's weird is that this Equinox is not owned by Asmodee. I think the true answer to that would be Star Wars Unlimited. Like if any game was going to get the full-throated support, and honestly, Star Wars Unlimited was being announced / coming out around the same time, and people brought this up at the time, which is like it's really odd to seemingly have Asmodee saying they're going to be all in on support in favor of a game that isn't even a game that a company they own is making,
Yeah.
and then also Unlimited is coming and kind of taking up the same
Mm-hmm.
reality. So, but yes, that is there's
Because
again.
I thought like almost like the design, some of the team on Equinox kind of came out of Asmodee, was at least
I think they did, or a publisher Asmodee owned,
something like that,
kind of a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Anyway,
Number
keep
3,
going, yeah.
it was too much too soon, and the issues caused by switching impacted the Seeds Unity set greatly, so is switching distribution. Niche TCGs have an incredibly hard time right now in general. SWU is Star Wars Unlimited. Is also seemingly losing steam, and it even has a big IP behind it. Many others have fallen over the last couple of years. Number 5, the delays in digital features did hurt a lot, and maybe it was they were trying to be too ambitious, or the original people behind the tools didn't do as much as they could have in their time. And then he finishes up with, there were indeed missteps by the upper management at Equinox, much as there is with any company, especially a newer one, but I think it's unfair to say this caused the entire downfall. It didn't help, of course, but it wasn't the root problem. It was and will continue to be a truly amazing game made by some really talented people.
That's a pretty good take. So, okay, here's what I'm left with after reading that, and I guess at some point we have to stop talking.
I don't think we're still okay.
10, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So here's what I want to believe. And so tell me if you agree with me on this. What I want to believe is that there is an inescapable gravity to anything succeeding in the long term, no matter what it is, whether it's a movie that's not great at the box office but later reaches success, or a game that launches and then stabilizes and has a long life ahead of it. And that there is something that you can't get around, which is you have to have a solid vision, you have to execute extremely well, and you have to have something that's differentiating you from all the other things that people might want to buy. And you have to stick to those things relentlessly and believe in them and execute on them and continue to do that year over year over year, and that you will see the fruits of that success. That it's not about the 7 new fancy mechanics. It's not about the hype machine FOMO serialized card pack has special packs, has the things and the treatments and the alternates and all of that. That can get you a splash of something, but it will not give you long-term success. And so if I think about, again, I want to believe this. If I think about a scale, let's say it's a scale with 3 scales on it somehow, that we make the gravitational, again, gravity is important to this analogy. So when I think about sorcery and I just like look at that game when it first comes out, there's a couple of things on their scale for me, which is traditional art by fantasy artists that you know, kind of this old school mechanical approach to a trading card game that you haven't seen in a long time, that is not optimized for tournament play. And let's say one set a year. They say those are the 3 biggest things. We remove the founder, we remove some of the intricacies of why that works. So slower release model. Everyone's tired of having to buy so much product. There's too much happening at once. We want you to savor, enjoy, etc. If I just take those 3 things and put them on a scale, I think to myself, wow, I think there's a lot of people that want that. And it's not obvious that they're out there, but immediately it's like, this could make a lot of sense for a lot of people that are not currently engaged or that have fallen off the hobby, et cetera, et cetera. We feel like there's a soullessness for the many years of production, and it's like, oh man, this traditional art. It's like, oh, that's. Then I go to Altered, and what am I putting on the scale for Altered? I'm putting scannable cards tradable via digital marketplace. I'm putting print your collection anytime you want without having to worry about losing your cards, et cetera, et cetera. Gameplay that is a race rather than a head-to-head competition. And then let's say kind of bright, what I would call like, not to put it, I don't want to, all the artists I'm sure are very talented, but there is a style observer of the space in the hobby, and maybe I'm old now, but this just doesn't seem like an important enough difference to make me want to try your game.
Well, I think I want to come back to the Avatar movie example, which if we framed up Blade Runner 2049 and Avatar the movie, Altered feels a lot like Avatar the movie to me.
Like, look at the technological complexity of what we're doing, not why it's better.
Not as a medium for telling a story, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that, though, is I think inherently the part of the reason, and there's people with like YouTube channels about this effect, this reality of this gap between what's objectively best or even subjectively the best insert thing here, and why it's not successful, or why the things that are successful. And so ultimately, think about it, right? So to be 17,000 people backing Cyberpunk, as an example, or to be Magic with tens of millions of players playing, you actually, like, the more clear that gets, and the more focused, and the more it's appreciated by the people that appreciate it, the less scale you are naturally going to have. Like, the number of people that want to play a hand-painted fantasy art game that comes out once a year that's kind of crunchy and sometimes takes an hour or two and has a golden rule because all the rules can't actually be worked out sometimes, and you just have to kind of go with it and vibe with it. Like, that's so specific, and so specifically something both of us would love.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to see Altered and be like, why are people even excited? Or it's easy to be, why are they even excited about this?
Sure.
But at the same time, you look at like Magic, and part of the success, other than the momentum and how important it is to have other people to play with, and the history and like sunk costs and all that stuff, but just having people to play with, that's Magic's greatest superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Go into a game store on Friday night, 99% of the time you can play Magic.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
in any city in the world. So to have massive success, if that's your goal, and if you're building a 60-70 person team to produce Altered, I think you're anticipating like massive success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously massive success,
like game altering, like genre defining.
nice wordplay.
Yeah, but it is that, right? It's like, this is a new paradigm.
Yeah,
we're launching into a new world.
If you're going to do digital asset management and print on demand cart, like, this is a crazy ambitious thing. And you think this technology you're introducing to the table, beyond the stuff you mentioned about the game and the theme and the race and all that kind of stuff, is so significant that we couldn't help but have tens of millions of players. Like, I think that's the mentality. And to the game you would expect to be on that engine would be less complicated, less crunchy, more approachable, all this kind of stuff. To me, it just fundamentally, like, your pitch from the start you didn't deliver on for the first year of it being out. So that's where it starts.
It'd be like if Sorcery announced traditional hand-painted art, and then they'll say, we'll do that in our second set. We didn't have time, so the first set's digital.
We didn't have the money, so we did AI art. Dead.
Yeah, it's
like, they would have gotten roasted.
Like, see, but don't you think, isn't that the appealing thing of it? You have to stick to your brand promise. You have to offer something great. You have to execute well over and over and over again. And there's some intangibles. You have to have the vision. You have to have the passion. You feel that come through in a product. Sorcery, maybe unbeknownst to them, or maybe planned all along, also did something which is bringing all the art fans and art collectors and real people who just love this stuff back into the fold, because they haven't had a lot to sink their teeth into for a long time.
Yeah. I think the only addendum I would make to your list, as a 3-part list, is factoring timing and luck. Because, Altered a decade ago may have been insanely successful. Or Sorcery a decade ago may have been less successful. I think there's a ton of variables. It's sort of, I mentioned the winning a massive tournament thing too. It's the same thing. But I do think there are a lot of things you can do to maximize your success, mitigate your luck, maximize your luck, minimize your bad luck. And that's where, like, I look at the approach, and we're just more intimately familiar with Sorcery, so a little talking on my depth on the others. But when you start with a 60-person company at Equinox, or however big it is, you have minimized your ability to get around bad luck or bad timing. Or
your fixed costs are very high. Yeah,
that's why they're coming out and saying we have to have a $2 million Kickstarter, or we are just done.
Yeah,
because you've built a 60-person team. But you look at Fab too; they did the same thing. When we first talked to them, they were less than 10 people, and they had a vision, and they had the goods to deliver on the game, and they had the brand promise it's going to be the greatest competitive game of all time, and they delivered, and they keep delivering. I still think that's true. In terms of competitive games, if you want tournaments, you want that whole system, Fab. Period. And I can say it in one sentence. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a very powerful brand promise. And so, but they built from 10 people to now hundreds, and they intentionally, thoughtfully, slowly scaled as they actually had success. And so that's where you get into the VC, Silicon Valley funded. You don't just have 60 people working full time on a team without funding. Now you've got shareholders you're reporting to, and it's like a whole thing. And so, from an approach perspective, I think it can work. I mean, you look at Universes doing Riftbound, and Universes got bought, and then that guy that bought that and that company made Riftbound. They had the contract to do it, and they probably had funding and the whole thing, but they brought in the IP. Same with Cyberpunk; they maybe have funding. It's the whole thing. It can work, but it's like high risk, high return, also high risk.
It's like kind of that VC
Yeah,
mentality.
like if you miss, you don't have a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
Compared to Christian and Ghost Galaxy as an example.
He's got so much
It's like,
time.
he owns it. He can do
figure
whatever
it
he
out.
wants. Like,
Yeah.
and he had the printing capability
Yeah.
set up from day one.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's just apples and oranges. But I think there's a lot of layers here. Regardless of games or not, it's really hard to have a business.
Mhm.
That's most businesses fail in the first year, or
all TCGs fail basically, except for a
basically every game fails. And that's why it's not even fails. Like, they have a life cycle.
few. Mhm.
Some games last a really long time, and Magic has a really long life cycle currently, and they may go on forever, honestly.
Mhm.
But it makes sense to me because they set out to be the greatest competitive game of all time.
Mhm.
Anything that's not that, it's a distraction. Same with Sorcery. Like, to me, what they set out to do, without even necessarily saying it, is capture that feeling of what it felt like to play Magic in 1993. And everything else stems from that.
Mhm.
The hand-painted art, the one set a year,
Mhm.
the way the cards are designed, the way the game plays, et cetera, et
I mean,
cetera.
it's relentless. Okay, here's the final point. It looks like
We
stream
interact
might
with
be-
chat none.
Stream might be a little choppy too. We'll see. I'm glad we're recording it at least. So here's the final thing. There's a piece of me that says maybe all of this is really just as simple as there's people who are not quite as loud about these things are playing card games because we don't want so much interaction with the digital world, and we're not looking to manage and scan and QR code our way into yet another thing that's trying to suck our souls out of our eyeballs. But putting that aside, where would you put Cyberpunk on the scale? What are the things there? Like, can you go to that Kickstarter page and can you tell me what the kind of unique proposition is of this game?
Most funded Kickstarter.
It's like
ever.
the first thing you see is most funded TCG
Yeah, but that
on
clearly
the
wasn't
planet.
there.
Fine, everybody likes to do that and fund it in 17 hours, and everybody makes stuff up, and it's.
Well, why back now? No.
I don't need
Let's
that.
get
Why
this.
back at all? We'll put together the ultimate Edge Runner crew with characters from across the franchise, pitting them against our opponent as we fight to become a Night City legend. Stunning custom artwork, not unique. Cyberpunk TCG is designed for trading card players, avid collectors, and fans of that. Okay, there's nothing there.
I mean, to me,
What is it? Give me more.
this is
It's got to be somewhere on there.
it. Well, you would think.
Let me see if I can find one.
I'm just looking through. So my shorthand on this.
Did you play? We played this, right? Did we not play this?
I don't think we played this.
We didn't play this one?
No, there's a handful of Cyberpunk.
We played Neuroscape. We played Neuroscape.
Neuroscape, and we played
played
Chrono
Neuroscape.
Core.
Yeah.
So I think this is a new TCG, part one. So TCG player is going to be curious just because new thing in your genre.
It looks good.
It does look good.
Like it has a polish to
Yep,
it.
definitely has a polish to it. Even before anyone backs it, I saw this campaign, 0 backers yet. It's Cyberpunk IP.
Mm-hmm.
So you look, Riftbound, crazy success off of the back of video games are massive. Compared to tabletop games, video games,
Yes.
insane. Genuinely insane.
Yes.
So Riftbound off the back of that, I think it's just, here's a TCG. TCGs are a popular thing people are talking about in general, right? Gary Vee wearing a chain around his neck. But TCGs are popular, and it's like, oh, I've been hearing about TCGs. I'm curious what this is, and I love Cyberpunk. So you start looking back the thing. So it's just a TCG version of Cyberpunk, and Cyberpunk's a setting that is appealing. Like, it's adjacent to Netrunner, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what this setting even is. So like, even as a person myself, it's like Netrunner, one of my favorite card games of all time. Love the setting, both the OG and the Android version. New card game. Like, if I was just strictly just a card game player, it's like, it has a lot of just fundamental, like, okay, I'll check this out. And then you look, and they're not doing anything weird, right? Like, Altered was weird, and that is a marketing hook.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing all this stuff, but they're not really doing anything weird. Beta cards, serialized, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, it's sort of like Star Wars Unlimited. Star Wars Unlimited is a perfect comparable for this, which is, you're Asmodee, you have FFG, who has done Star Wars games, you have the Star Wars license, and you design a game that is going to offend nobody, and you do all the things, organize play, etc., and you just don't screw it up.
Mm-hmm. That is the story of the IP card game, isn't it?
So to me, with Cyberpunk, it's the same.
It's like
You're running it back.
the same thing. Yeah.
One Piece, Riftbound. It's like, just don't screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Do a collectible game.
That's why I hate it so much.
Yeah, and it's conservative. It's not pushing limits. It's not trying to reinvent
Mm-hmm.
anything. I bet if you look at the gameplay, we'd play it and be like, this is kind of like this and this, and it's a good enough game with a big IP, a lot of marketing, off to the races.
And do you feel the same way that you're bothered? I mean, obviously it's going to bother us because we are of one brain and we started, I mean, Covenant exists because of our beliefs in this exact principle.
Yeah.
That like, this is not the best stuff, but it keeps happening. Like it just bothers me. You know what? Here's what bothers me. Hold on, listen, this is the sentence that bothers me. I'm not trying to dunk on you guys at Cyberpunk. Obviously, you're going to be hugely successful, at least for a while.
They can wipe their tears with
exactly, with their dollar
bills.
But they said, so check this out. We share the same frustrations. This is at the very bottom of the Kickstarter. There is no brand proposition here at all, aside from, as you said, this is a Cyberpunk card game. We share the same frustrations that many players face today, whether it's accessibility, quality, or engagement. With the help of CD Projekt Red and their shared vision, we're focusing on delivering a player-first TCG with first-class quality in all departments: art, game design, narrative, organized play, and more. It's dead. It means nothing. We're going to do a card game well.
Well, and they'll do a card game well and not screw it up.
If this didn't have Cyberpunk on it, this goes 0 places.
100%.
So you're completely right that this is an IP-driven, entirely IP-driven thing.
Yeah, IP-driven. It's collectible. You've been in the TCG game.
Okay.
Again, if you're a TCG player, it's like, I'll check it out. And you know what? There might be some amazing designers doing this, and it might be an incredible game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. And that's where I'm at with it. It's sort of like the Avatar movies, right? Like, it doesn't bother me because I think there are a lot of people getting into the tabletop gaming space with Riftbound, with One Piece, etc., Cyberpunk, they would never have touched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, regardless of how I feel about whether or not this is worthy, that's a good thing. Like, more people playing tabletop games together face to face is good. And there's probably people that wouldn't have ever touched the kind of things that I love and think deserve to have the spotlight and stuff. So I'm not offended by it per se. Same with Altered. It's like QR code out. That's like, you've crossed my threshold. But at the same time, it's like, you do you. I'm not worried about it.
This is where you just say, this is just not for me.
Yeah. Now, what I do want to be true is that enough people go see Blade Runner 2049 that they'll keep making films like that, because that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I hope that someday some people will come from here and they'll get into these kind of things that we actually love.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine, in the same way that Magic and Pokemon are a massive entry point into this hobby for a number of people, including me. I got into with Pokemon when it first came out. But at the end of the day, to answer one of your many questions from earlier.
So what's on the scale is Cyberpunk the IP?
I think it's the IP
against Altered and Sorcery.
Yep, and I think it's competing against Riftbound and One Piece and Star Wars Unlimited and Magic with all their IPs and Pokemon, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to appeal to a very different audience than like Pokemon players for the most part. It skews younger. Magic skews teenage into early 20s, and now Vintage is getting older, et cetera. But I think ultimately these are products made by business. A $13 million, probably going to end up being a $15-20 million campaign, is a heck of a way to start. But just
depending on what you paid to get there.
Just like when you're playing a game, like if we play Netrunner, this is a deep analogy. If we play Netrunner and I'm runner in your corp and I score 5 points off the top of your deck early, that's what having $13 million is. But there's a lot of ways to lose that game.
Don't I know it?
There's a lot of ways to lose that game. And so I think that's what Alter did. Like, I think it was mismanaged probably. It had a lot of bad plays that it made. If you start with $6 or $7 million, us coming from literally $300 for 20 years, and so much of it is just about surviving,
making that 300 into 350 basically.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't think you just get $6 million and fail within 2 years, and there's no way you didn't make mistakes,
right?
But also could have. There's so many factors. Could be unlucky. Could be a bad time in the market. Could be whatever. Could be whatever. It
could be the wrong concept.
Yeah, but fundamentally, the marketplace not be available for a year seems pretty cut and dry to me.
But this seems like, in comparison, the right thing to be doing. Take the IP. It's a hot time for that. There's a lot of love for that Cyberpunk IP now that CD Projekt Red had kind of hold it from the brink of disappointment now
Mhm.
to like a solid fan base.
Yeah, my prediction would be
Make it flashy, get a lot of talent,
with
launch
with
it.
this success already, they're going to have a 3 to 4 year run at minimum.
Mhm.
If the game's pretty good and they don't actively screw it up, and I don't think they will with these kind of success behind them, they probably have a 5 to 10 year run at least.
There's no way this game lasts 5 years.
You'd-
I will put money on that.
5 years.
Mhm.
So what year are we in right now? 2026.
26.
2031.
Mm-hmm. I'll see you in 2031, buddy.
All right. I think it's pretty good odds this year in 2031.
2031. Let's do it. All right, let's get out of here.
Welcome back.
We've done it. That was fun. I haven't talked like that in a little while.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm
nice.
curious to see how this goes.
If you're watching it back later or you're listening on a podcast, if you're watching back later, please leave a comment. Let us know how this experience went for you. And if you're listening on the podcast, either go to the YouTube video and leave a comment or come to our Discord channel. We'd love to hear from you in the industry discussion section.
You can get that in the footer of our website if you ever need to access it.
Yeah. Really appreciate you being here. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Cheers, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.